Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, and also good night for everyone. Today we will discuss about supporting department cost allocation. So without further ado, let's discuss about the problems. So for problem number 1, there is a power plant called Sandbox that serves all manufacturing departments of Samsung Engineering that has a budget for the coming year. This budget has been expressed in the following monthly terms as stated, and then the expected monthly cost for operating the power plant during the budget year are $15,000, which includes $6,000 of variable cost and $9,000 of fixed cost. And the first question is, assume that a single cost pool is used for the power plant cost. So what budgeted amounts will be allocated to each manufacturing department if first, the rate is calculated based on practical capacity and costs are allocated based on practical capacity. And second, the rate is calculated based on expected monthly usage and costs are allocated based on expected monthly usage. Okay, so for the first question, we have to calculate single rate for practical capacity. The first step is to calculate the single rate, and to calculate this rate, we just have to divide the total cost with practical capacity. So it is 15,000 divided by the total practical capacity, which is 50,000. And don't forget, this number is actually stated in the problems. Okay, so the single rate is 15,000 divided by 50,000. So it is 0.3. After calculate the single rate, the second step is to allocate the cost based on the practical capacity, because in the problem it is stated that the company will allocate the cost based on practical capacity. Therefore, to allocate the cost, we just have to calculate it with single rate times practical capacity for each department. So for example, to calculate the cost allocated for Rockford, it is 0.3 times 10,000, and for Peoria is 0.3, the single rate, times 20,000, and so on and so forth. Okay. And after calculating for each department, don't forget you have to sum all departments in order to check if your calculation is correct or not. If it's equal with the total cost, then your calculation is already right. Okay, since it is equal the total cost of the department, all departments, therefore our calculation is already right. Okay, that's all for the first question. And then the next question is calculating single rate, but using expected monthly usage. So the first step is the same like the previous one. First is you have to calculate the single rate, but the difference is you have to divide total cost by expected monthly usage. So the total cost is still the same, 15,000, and the expected monthly usage is 30,000 as stated in the question. Okay, so the single rate is 15,000 divided by 30,000. So it is 0.5. And after finding the single rate, the next step is to allocate the cost based on the expected monthly usage. So for example, for Rockford, it is 0.5 times 8,000. And for Peoria, it is 0.5 times 9,000, and so on and so forth. And once again, don't forget, after calculating cost allocated for each department, don't forget to sum all the calculation, and if it's equal to total cost, then your calculation is right. Okay, so that's all for first point. Now, moving on, we have to calculate the cost allocated, but using the dual rate. So, first, let's go back to the question. The dual rate method is used with separate cost pool for the variable and fixed cost. Variable costs are allocated on the basis of expected monthly usage, while the fixed costs are allocated on the basis of practical capacity. So what budgeted amounts will be allocated to each manufacturing department, and why might you prefer the dual rate method? Okay, so first we have to calculate the allocation rate for a variable cost pool, and as stated in the question, the variable cost will be allocated based on the expected usage. So the information that we need is first total variable cost, which is 6,000, and the second one is the total expected usage, which is 30,000. And to calculate the allocation rate, we just have to divide the total fixed cost by total expected usage. So it is 6,000, and then the total expected usage is 30,000. And the allocation rate is 0.2. Okay, second is allocation rate for fixed cost pool. The total fixed cost is 9,000 as stated in the question, while the total practical capacity is 50,000. So to calculate the allocation rate, we just have to divide the total fixed cost by total practical capacity. Therefore, it is 9,000 divided by 50,000. And the allocation rate is 0.18. After finding the allocation rate for variable cost and also fixed cost, now it's time to allocate the cost. And don't forget, to allocate the cost, you have to separate between variable cost pool and also fixed cost pool. So to calculate the variable cost pool, it is a rate of variable cost times expected monthly usage, while for fixed cost pool, it is fixed cost rate times practical capacity. For example, for the Rockford department, therefore it is 0.2, or the variable cost rate, times the expected monthly usage of Rockford, which is 8,000. For Peoria, it is 0.2, or the fixed cost rate, the variable cost rate, times 9,000, the expected monthly usage of Peoria, and so on and so forth. So the concept is, don't forget to calculate it with the variable cost rate times the expected monthly usage each department. Okay, and don't forget, in the end, you have to sum up all the cost of the department. And to check if your calculation is right, it must be equal to the total variable cost. Okay, second is allocating the cost based on the fixed cost pool. It is fixed cost rate times practical capacity. And for Rockford, therefore it is 0.18 times the practical capacity of Rockford, which is 10,000. And for Peoria, it is 0.18 times 20,000, the practical capacity. And for Hammond, it is 0.18 times 12,000. And for the last department, it is 0.18 times 8,000. And the total cost allocated based on the fixed cost pool is 9,000. And to check if your calculation is right, it must equal to the total fixed cost as stated in the question. Okay, So after calculating the variable cost pool and also fixed cost pool, we have to sum the total cost for each department. So for Rockford is 3,400, for Peoria is 5,400, and so on and so forth. And the total of both variable cost pool and fixed cost pool for all departments must equal to the total cost as stated in the question. Okay, so that's all from problem 1. Okay, so let's move on to the second question. The second question is about the WASB company that has two products, tote bag and t-shirt, and the tote bag is manufactured by Department X, while t-shirt is manufactured by Department Y, and they have supporting departments, which is Materials Handling Department or Department A, and Power Generating Department or Department B. And this is the data regarding the analysis of the work done by Department A and Department B. And then here is the data about the total cost of Department A and the Department B. And then they have the budgeted cost of the operating departments for the coming year are 6,250,000 for Department X and 4,750,000 for Department Y. And then the question is to allocate the costs of support Department A and B to operating departments X and Y using the direct method, the step-down method, which allocates the Department A first, and then the step-down method, and allocate to Department B first. And last but not least is the reciprocal method. Okay, so let's do the question. The first question is direct method. Okay. To calculate the direct method by using direct method, it is quite simple. For example, the cost allocated from Department A to Department X is 2,500 divided by 4,000 multiplied by 1,050,000. So this number is come from the usage by X divided by the total usage of X and Y multiplied by the total cost of Department A. And for Department Y, it is the total usage of Department Y divided by the total usage of Department X and Y, which is 4,000, and then multiplied by the total cost of Department A, which is 1,050,000. While for Department B, to allocate the cost to Department X, first is we have to divide the usage by Department X, the 625, divided it with the total usage of Department X and Y, which is 2,500, and then multiplied it with the cost of Department B, which is 450,000. While for Department Y, it is 1,875, or the usage of Department Y divided by the total usage of Department X and Y, which is 2,500, multiplied by the cost of Department B, which is 450,000. Okay, and don't forget you have to sum the cost of each department. For Department X, the sum is 768,750, while for Department Y, it is 731,250. And that's all for direct method. Okay, so it is quite simple. If you're confused, please read the comment. I already include the formula. Okay, so next is step-down method, but we have to allocate A first. Okay, so the concept of step-down method is you have to allocate the cost of one department to the other department first. So if we talk about this question, we have to allocate the cost of Department A to Department B, X, and Y first, and then we allocate the cost of Department B to Department X and Y only. Okay, so please notice the difference. For Department A, you have to allocate to B, X, and Y, While for department B, you just have to allocate it to department X and Y only. Okay. Okay, let's allocate the cost. First is the cost to be allocated from department A is 1,050,000. Therefore, we have to minus it because the assumption is we allocate all the cost to other departments. Therefore, all the costs in department A will be used. Okay, so to allocate the cost of department A to department B, the formula is refer to the information that is given in the question. First is we have to divide the usage of department B, which is 1,000, divided with the total usage of department A, B, X, and Y, which is the 5,000, and then multiply it with the cost of department A, which is 1,050,000. Okay, I already wrote down the formula. If you're still confused, please read the comments. And then for department X, it is the usage of department X, which is 2,500 divided by 5,000, or the total usage by department A, B, X, and Y, and then multiply it with the cost of department A. And for department Y, it is 1,500 divided by 5,000 and then multiply it with the cost of department A. And after that, we have to allocate the cost of department B to department X and Y. So the total cost that will be allocated to department X and department Y from department B is actually the sum of the original cost of department B, which is for 150,000 and 210,000. So it is 660,000. And then we will allocate this 660,000 to department X and also department Y. For department X, we allocate it by dividing 625 with 2,500 and then multiply it with 660,000. Okay, so once again, for department X, to allocate the cost from department B to department X, we have to divide 625 by 2,500 first, and after that multiply it with the cost that we already calculated before, which is 660,000. Okay. Okay. Actually, 660,000 comes from the original cost, which is 450,000, plus the cost that is allocated from department A, which is 210,000. While for department Y, it is 1,875 divided by 2,500 times the cost of department B, 660,000. After you find all the allocation of the cost, don't forget to total all of the cost for each department. And for department A and B, it must equal to 0. Okay, if it's not equals to 0, therefore your calculation must be wrong. And for department X, the total is 690,000, and for department Y, the total is 800,000. Okay, so that's all for the step-down method A first. And then the third question is step-down method B first. So the idea is still the same, just like the previous one, but the difference is we have to allocate the cost of department B to department A, X, and Y first, and after that, we allocate the cost of department A to X and Y. Okay, so because we will allocate the cost of department B first, we have to minus the cost to be allocated. And after that, we allocate it to department A, X, and Y. For allocation in department A, the formula is 3,750, which comes from this information, divided by the total ABXY, which is 6,250, and then times the cost of department B, which is 450,000. Okay. And after that, for department X, it is 625 divided by 6,250, and then times the cost of department B, 450,000. While for department Y, it is 1,875 per 6,250, and then times the cost of department B. Okay. Next, let's calculate the total cost of department A that will be allocated to department X and department Y. Okay, so the total cost is 1,320,000. This cost will be allocated to department X and department Y. Okay. For department X, the formula is 2,500, or the usage by department X, divided by the total cost, the total usage of department X and Y, which is 4,000, and then times the cost of department A that we just calculated before, which is the 1,320,000. While for department Y, it is 1,500 divided by 4,000, and then times 1,320,000. So we have already calculated all the allocation of the cost, and don't forget to sum all of the cost, and for department A and B, it must equal to 0. And then we found that the sum of total cost in department X is 870,000, and for department Y is 630,000. Okay, so that's all for step-down method B first. Last but not least, from problem 2 is the reciprocal method. Nah, for the reciprocal method, the concept is a bit different because we have to make an equation first, but first we have to determine the coefficient. Okay, so actually the coefficient of variable A is, we have to divide the usage of B in department A, which is 1,000, divided by the total usage of department A, B, X, and Y, which is supplied by department A. So it is 1,000 divided by 5,000. Therefore, the coefficient of variable A is 0.2. While for coefficient of variable B, it is the usage of department A, or the 3,750, and then divided by the total usage of department A, B, X, and Y, or the 6,250. Therefore, the coefficient of variable B is 0.6. Okay, after calculating the coefficient, and then the next step is make the equations. Okay, so the first equation is total cost of department A. The equation is the original cost of department A, which is 1,050,000, plus the coefficient that we just calculated before, or 0.6b. Okay, while the equation for total cost of department B is the original cost of department B, which is 450,000, plus plus 0.2a. Okay, That is the equation. And after that, we have to calculate the total cost. Okay, so for the total cost of department A, it is 1,050,000 plus 0.6b, but we can change the b variable here with the equation of total cost of department B, which is 450,000 plus 0.2a. And after that, let's just do the basic math calculation. Okay, so it is 1,050,000 plus 0.6 times 450,000 equals to 270,000, and then plus 0.2a. And after that, we can move the 0.2a to the left side, so it is equals to 0.88a. And then on the right side, we have to sum 1,050,000 with 270,000. So it is 1,320,000. Therefore, the total cost of department A is 1,320,000 divided by 0.88. So it is 1,500,000. And after that, for the total cost of department B, the equation is 450,000 plus 0.2a, and we can change the a with 1,500,000. Therefore, the total cost of department B is 450,000 plus 0.2 times 1,500,000 equals to 750,000. Okay, so after finding the total cost of department A and department B using the reciprocal method, now we have to allocate the cost to each department. First, let's allocate the costs from department A to department B and department X and also Y. The cost that need to be allocated is 1,500,000, and the allocation for department B equals to 1,000 divided by 5,000, or in other words, it is the usage of department B divided by the total usage times the cost of department B. I mean times the cost of department A, which is 1,500,000. So it equals to 300,000. And for department X, it is the usage of department X divided by the total usage times the cost of department A, which is 1,500,000, and it equals to 750,000. And for department Y, it is for the usage of department Y, which is 1,500 divided by the total usage times the total cost of department A. Okay, and after allocating department A, next is allocating the cost of department B. The cost of department B that need to be allocated is 750,000. And then the allocation of department A equals to the usage of department A, which is 3,750 divided by the total usage of, or 6,250, and then multiplied it by the total cost of department B. Okay, and for department X, it is 625 divided it with 6,250, and then times the total cost of department B, or 750,000. And for department Y, it is 1,875 divided by with 6,250 times the total cost of department B. Okay, and after that, don't forget to sum of the cost, and department A and department B should equals to 0. And for department X and Y, department X, the total cost is 825,000, while department Y equals to 675,000. Okay, so that's all for problem number 2. Okay, so let's move on to the third question. Jipyong and Dosan are students at Sandbox College. They share an apartment that is owned by Dosan. Dosan is considering subscribing to an internet provider that has the following packages available. Jipyong spends most of his time on the internet, while Dosan prefers to spend his time talking on the phone. They agree that the purchase of the $65 total package is a win-win situation. The question is, allocate the $65 between Jipyong and Dosan using the standalone cost allocation method, the incremental cost allocation method, and the Shapley value method. Okay, so the first question is to calculate the allocation using standalone method. So for Jipyong, because he likes to use internet, therefore, first we have to input the standalone price of internet, which is 60, and then divided it by the total standalone price of internet and phone, which is 60 plus 15, and then multiply it by the cost of the combination of both services, or in other words, is the cost of the package, which is 65. Therefore, for Jipyong, the standalone price is 60 per 75 times 65 equals to 52. For Dosan, because he likes to use phone more than internet, therefore the standalone price is first input the standalone price of phone, which is 15, and then standalone price for internet 60 plus the standalone price of phone 15, and then times the cost of the package, or 65. Therefore, for Dosan, it is 15 divided by 75 times 65. And the standalone price for Dosan is 13. That's all for standalone method. It is quite easy. Next is incremental method. But for incremental method, actually there are two scenarios. The first scenario is Jipyong is the primary user, while Dosan is incremental user. And the second scenario is Dosan is the primary user, while Jipyong is the incremental user. Okay, for scenario number 1, because the Jipyong is the primary user, therefore we have to allocate the internet first, okay? The cost of internet services is 60, and therefore the remaining cost that need to be paid by Dosan is 65, or the total cost of the package minus the cost of the internet service. So Dosan need to pay only $5. Okay. And for the second scenario, because Dosan is primary user and he likes to use phone services, so first we have to allocate the cost of phone service, which is 15. Okay. And the remaining cost that need to be paid by Jipyong is 65 minus 15. Okay, equals to 50. Okay, that's all for incremental method. While for Shapley value method, it is the average cost from first scenario and second scenario. Okay, for scenario number 1, Jipyong needs to pay 60 while Dosan needs to pay $5. And for scenario number 2, Jipyong needs to pay 50 while Dosan needs to pay 15. Therefore, the average cost that needed to be paid by Jipyong is average of 60 and 50, which is 55. And for Dosan, the cost that need to be paid is average of 5 and 15, which is 10. Okay. Okay, and don't forget to sum the cost of each parties for each scenario, just to make sure if your calculation is already right. If your calculation is right, the total will be equal to the total cost of the package, which is 65. Because it is already the same, therefore our calculation is already right. Okay, so that's all for our tutorial video today. Thank you for paying attention and don't forget to do your homework. Stay safe and healthy.